Thanks for tuning in to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I am your international certified life coach, Tiadra Taylor. The sole purpose of this podcast is to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. Yes, it's time to break chains and to get unstuck. Thanks again for joining in. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me after quite a few weeks of silence on this podcast. I do apologize for those of you who do tune in each and every week. I had some things that I had to handle on my side, but luckily I have over 100 podcast episodes for you guys to listen to be inspired by. So I thank you for your patience, but I am super happy to be back. If you are joining in for the first time, I am your virtual certified life and relationship coach. I go by the name of Coach T, and you are now tuned into the Real Women Chronicles podcast. Listen, guys, when I left off before, we were going through the stages of breakup. So I managed to get the first two stages recorded on the podcast, and then life happened. But I have not forgotten where I left off. I want to talk about the third stage of a breakup, which to me is the best stage ever. Okay, so if you find yourself going through a breakup as we speak, listen, this third stage is the stage that you are fighting to get to. This is the stage that actually you can look forward to and going through that breakup. Okay. Now, as I've told you over the past several weeks, the past several podcast episodes, I do have an interactive breakup journal currently out there on my website, ready for purchase. Please, if you are going through a breakup, this journal is like a must-have. It's called Breakup to Breakthrough Journal. And the whole purpose of this journal is just to allow you to really address some of the changes that you're going to go through. Okay, I have thought-provoking questions that really help you to really address the things that need to be addressed. Like, as I stated before, as you're going through the various emotions that these relationships and the ending of a relationship takes you through. And most of all, each and every section has a motivating message. And I don't know about y'all, but I know whenever we're going through pain, those motivating, inspiring messages are really needed. And each and every one of those are ones that I actually pretty much came up with myself. Okay. A few of the quotes in there are common, but for the most part, a lot of the content is just authentic. So if you like me as your virtual coach, as your personal life coach, you're definitely going to like that journal. You can go ahead and purchase it on the rwcpodcast.com. Again, that's the rwcpodcast.com. All right. That being said, I want to move on to the third stage of the breakup. So, as you guys know, I talked about the first stage and all the pain that you're going to have to, really confront. And I've also talked about the second stage. If you have not heard those two podcasts, I suggest you go back and listen to these in sequence so you can really understand. But let's talk about this third stage, because I'm excited about this third stage because I know it's power in this stage. Okay. This is the stage of completion. This should be where you have made the conscious decision to move forward and to stop looking back. This is where you determine that closure now comes from you. Okay? During this third stage, you're no longer looking for closure from no one else. You realize it's your choice and you get to give yourself that closure that you need. Now, this stage comes at different times for all of us. Okay? Some of us, we can get to this third stage in a matter of weeks, in a matter of months. And some of us, it may take a little longer. It could take a year or more. But it's a common stage in your healing process, if you're not constantly going back into that same relationship and you're actually on the road to recovery, right? This is where you'll eventually get to. Okay, 99% of us will learn how to keep moving forward. Okay? See, mainly this stage comes from a conscious decision, a conscious choice that you have made to no longer cry over spilled milk. I know it sounds mean, I know it sounds cruel, but guess what? How long are you going to carry that pain? This is the stage where you decide you're no longer carrying it. This is the stage that God has brought you to where you realize that it no longer hurts as much. That scar is no longer visible. It was an experience that you'll never forget, but you're not still waking up crying about it. You're moving on. You're smiling again. See, you're choosing to focus less on what you've lost and more on what to gain. During this stage, the focus is you. The focus is on what you want and what you don't want. And let me tell you guys something. The advantage to being in a relationship that didn't suit you, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever the case may be. Maybe even going through a relationship where you've just consciously chosen the wrong person. Let me tell you the advantage to experiencing that in life. The advantage is that you've learned what you don't want. And I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes it's more important for us to learn what we don't want than sometimes to learn what we do want. It's easy to talk about all the things we want, but you really don't know what you don't want in a relationship until you actually experience it. And then you take a step back and you say, my next relationship, I do not want that. So this is the time where you learn to do what makes you happy. You learn to say no to the things that do not suit you, to the things that make you angry or make you anxious. You learn during this third stage to really love yourself, to pay attention to these red flags. You may have ignored them in that past relationship. This stage 3 of that breakup is when you need to pay attention and say, you know what, I've been down this road before. Let me pay attention to all the flags that come, red, orange, and green. During stage 3 of your breakup, you should if you're not totally in love with yourself, you should be falling totally in love with yourself. And if you haven't fallen totally in love with yourself, still spend some time by yourself. Because we never want to take ourselves into another relationship when we have yet to appreciate ourselves. Because we don't choose a mate wisely that way. I don't care, what anyone says. We do not choose a mate wisely until we have first chosen ourselves and first put ourselves first. So, hey, during this third stage, if you're still struggling with self-esteem and you're still struggling with loving yourself, go ahead. Keep moving in this stage. Keep staying single and keep loving on yourself. You are getting there and you will get there. Okay? This is the thing. This is where you want to love yourself enough to give yourself what you know you deserve, instead of allowing people to breadcrumb you and give you what they feel that you deserve. This is your stage. This is your life. This is your story. No longer are you settling for what you don't deserve. It's time. Well, it's during this time that you realize that you are the author of your own life and you get to write your story. The pain that you felt was part of God's plan. And let me tell you something. During stage 3, you should see that by now. You should see. I haven't met a person yet who went through a breakup and who survived, okay? And grew through a breakup. Not just go through a breakup, but grew through a breakup, okay? I haven't met a person yet who has not looked back and said, wow, that was part of God's plan. Wow, I'm glad that I'm out of that relationship because now I have better. Listen, he didn't take that from your grasp to leave you hanging. Come on now. If he removed that person for whatever reason, it's because there's better coming for you. And in stage 3, this is when you start to thank God. You really do. Like, wow, I'm glad that I'm no longer in that relationship. I'm happy that God chose me to go through this journey because now I see things clearer than I ever have before. Again, the pain you felt was part of God's plan. You needed to be stretched. You needed to be pulled. You needed to be tested in order to grow. But listen, most importantly, okay, more than anything, your stage 3 of breakup should also be about forgiveness. You should have freed yourself from any resentment, from any guilt, because a lot of times people fail to realize forgiveness isn't all about the other person. I've told you guys on numerous podcasts, forgiving them is about you. That's about freeing you. And if you know, like I know, listen, sometimes it's even harder to forgive yourself. To forgive yourself for choosing the wrong person or for making that mistake in that last relationship. Sometimes it's harder, but this stage 3, okay? We've gone through beating ourselves up. We've gone through being angry. Now it's time to free yourself. And by freeing yourself, that means forgiving yourself and forgiving the person who hurt you. Forgiving the person who hurt you and understanding that they don't necessarily have to be the worst person in the world. They were just put into your life for a season. We don't have to hate the people who were only really predestined to be there for a season. And yeah, we might not like the way they exited. We may have not been prepared to let go back then. But guess what? They were there for a season. The relationship is dead. But the great thing about a dead relationship is that we actually can have more. It's not a dead relationship doesn't mean you're dead. You still have the opportunity to move forward and live happy and more joyful after all. Stage 3 is it, guys. And if you are currently going through a breakup, I want to encourage you that if you just keep moving forward, you will get to the stage and you will come back and say, Coach T, this is the best stage of my life, because it's coming. It can't rain forever. The sun has to shine, and it will shine as long as you believe that it will. As long as you believe that you will get to this place of healing that I'm telling you you'll get to, you will manifest it. But you have to believe. All right. So I hope and pray that this podcast episode has motivated someone out there. Again, thank you guys for bearing with me over the last couple of weeks of me not being able to post my typical Wednesday podcast, but I'm back on my grind, y'all. I'm back. I'm back. So message me, continue messaging me, because I did get some messages during my brief hiatus, but hiatus or whatever I'm trying to say. Who knows? I can't even talk today. But be sure to DM me and or message me or email me and let me know any of the topics that you'd like me to discuss going forward. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or just to say hello, Coach T, go ahead. You can email me at contact@the rwcpodcast.com. Again, my website is the rwcpodcast.com. So